The world is, for anybody brought up in the 1980s, the world is now a very strange place. It also seems a very new place as well, in that many of us, I think, were caught completely off guard by this. When you go back and reflect on the history, I think you can see where it's coming from. You can see the developments taking place. But for those of us who've lived through them, there seemed to have been a dramatic break that took place really perhaps in the late 90s or the beginning of the third millennium that ruptured society in a way that meant everything before it was somehow alien, now looks old and antiquated. And we live, of course, today in an era of permanent innovation. Everything is being made new all the time. The question of how new many of the issues are is an interesting one. For example, we know that there have been gender dysphoric people throughout history. We know that cultures have played around a bit with the relationship between men and women in interesting ways. What I think makes our culture new is the deviant has become the norm. The transgressive has become the norm. The exception has become the ordinary. What we have done is we've taken things that often occurred at the margins of previous societies, and we have made them absolutely central to who we are, how we think, and how we behave. And that's a large part of the novelty of what we face. Second dimension is technology is remaking a whole lot of things that used to appear to be stable, discrete, solid. Most obviously, we think about national cultures. We have this sort of emerging international internet kind of culture at the moment. But then we also have technology applied to the human body. The authority of the human body has been undermined dramatically by the advent of technology. So there are things that make our world unique and novel, even though on many of the issues one can find precedents elsewhere. The way those things now function and the way they are technologically enabled, that's new. Question as to whether this is a minority pushing its views on a majority is an interesting one, but not of particular relevance, I think. There's a sense in which, to quote John Knox, one man and God is always in the majority. And we do know that societies can be gripped by, for want of a better term, mass psychoses that lead them to do evil and bad things. I don't really care if I'm in a minority in wanting to stop childhood genital mutilation and trans surgeries for kids. It's the right thing to do to oppose those things. Whether you're in a minority or a majority, one has to oppose those. Relative to, say, debates about books in elementary school libraries. Well, first of all, even though it's depicted by the press as banning books, it's not banning books. It's simply wanting to make sure that literature available in elementary school libraries is age appropriate. I am very happy to campaign as a minority to try to get age-appropriate literature into public schools. Who knows if the Romans would have gone the same way if they'd discovered the internet, but one could say they would not have been the Romans that we know and remember today. One of the things, of course, that the internet has done is it's taken away what we might call natural controls over human morality. There's been a sense in which for really up until the 1960s, 1970s, Christian sexual morality made sense naturally because to transgress that morality got you into trouble. You got the girl pregnant. You picked up an incurable disease, those kind of things. You were caught going into that sleazy shop by the wife of the minister who lived next door who was going to tell your parents. There were some natural controls that meant that our perennial sinful instincts were corralled more than just by our self-discipline. We might say there were social controls, there were technological limits that made Christian morality the default, Christianity very plausible. Those don't apply anymore. Now that one can get anonymous access to pornography online, the darkest of human appetites can be indulged without fear of social shame. And we've seen that is what has happened over the last 20, 30 years. Many of us perhaps know somebody who's been prosecuted for using child pornography. The question always comes to my mind when I hear of a friend or an acquaintance who's been caught that way is, would that have happened before the internet? Almost certainly not. They were dragged into a dark place, or they entered a dark place that they would not have entered before, if for no other reason that there would have been tremendous social shame and obvious social risks involved. So, and then turning to the second one of the things that modern technology has done is it's served to undermine the importance of bodily interaction. Human beings, we are bodies. We do all sorts of things with our bodies that make us who we are. When you think about what all creatures on the face of the planet do, we all share two things in common. We reproduce and we replace calories. We have to have sex and we have to eat. Human beings have surrounded both of those things with remarkable rituals that you don't find anywhere else in the animal kingdom. We seduce, we woo, we make love. We have these remarkable wedding ceremonies that traditionally mark a sexual inauguration. We give these natural functions tremendous ritual significance. We don't just eat food. We go out for dinner. There's a reason why the most significant first dates take place in a nice restaurant, because we understand that food is significant for more than just calories. Why? Well, it's about both these things, making love and food. They're about the importance of intimate bodily interaction for what makes us human beings. One of the things that the internet has done really is slowly but surely undermine and weaken the need for embodiment. Think about the way we use the term friend now. Often we use the term friend to refer to somebody we've never even met, just somebody that we've linked to on the internet, somebody that has never invested in us and we have never invested in. We've cheapened the concept of friendship. Think about the rise of chatbots as romantic partners, how utterly ridiculous and dehumanizing that is, because we all know that a true human relationship has to involve true bodily interaction at some point. So technology in weakening the significance of the human body for human relationships, I think one could make the case for saying it has somewhat degraded humanity.
You need a little fee in your life. You need a little me in your life. I wanna see the sea in your eyes. You need to be free.